I want to make a little producer album. I've been thinking about this for a little while now, and I feel like a project like this is gonna be really good for my creativity because I don't really have to care about anything. For example, when I make samples or beats, I always kind of think about who can I send this to, can I upload this? And for videos, I always gotta think about kind of how it's gonna perform or what the viewers want to see. Obviously, I still do whatever I want, but there's always kind of this aspect of numbers and being successful. And I feel like on Spotify, no one gives a shit about me and I can go in with no expectations. I'm literally fine with no one ever listening to it. And I feel like that's gonna give me lots of freedom, and it's just gonna be a great project to just make exactly the music I want to make. So let's cook up. So I want this to be very old school R&B inspired, like 90s, 2000s R&B, obviously more modern. The main idea is just smooth melodies and bouncy drums. This is what I have so far. It's mostly just unfinished beat ideas. And some of these are cool, some of these kind of suck, but my approach is to collect as many ideas as possible without like judging them yet. And later on I'll have a huge folder and pick the best ideas to turn into full beats and songs. I'm also sharing this with other producers and vocalists that are maybe gonna work on the project with me. So maybe the things I don't like are gonna inspire them, who knows. Let me show you some of my favorites so far. So yeah, who knows, maybe some of them are gonna be on the album, maybe not. But now let's make something new. And I already kind of have something in mind. I want to really lean into the more old school R&B vibe. And for that I want to start with the guitar, but not an actual guitar. I want to use a synth guitar that very obviously doesn't sound like a real guitar. I feel like they've been doing that a lot back then. Maybe even this harp. So I never really use VST guitars, but what I do know is that you kind of have to mimic how you'd play an actual guitar. So on the keys, for example, you'd play a chord like this. So the chord would look like this. But that's not how you'd play it on a guitar. Depending on what chord shape you're using, the octaves of the notes are gonna be a bit different every time. So let's go for something very simple. I'm thinking just something like... We have the root note, 5th, 7th, and then the 3rd. So root note, 5th, 7th, 3rd. Oh wait, this kind of sounds like... Is that the same chord? Let's maybe pitch it then. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but let's just pitch it up. So we have this, and then this. And I feel like we can actually just go with these two chords. And what's great with simple progressions like this is you can do little switch ups with different chords and it's gonna sound very special because you know you're only used to these two chords. So I'm thinking we could maybe change the second chord up for a little switch up. And then later on we can switch it up again. And I definitely want to have a little chord run at the end, like... Something like that, probably. I'm probably not gonna use that harp for the chord run, but I leave it in there just to have the chords. So mainly we're just gonna loop the two chords, then maybe have the switch up every other time, and at the end we can have the chord run. And like that we didn't have to do much, and we already have like almost a minute full of variation. So now what I want to do is use my actual guitar, and I'm just gonna play some random stuff. I'm gonna probably turn that down a lot in the mix. I just want a bit of a more natural texture to it. I don't really want to put lots of work into this yet. I think first I just want to stack lots of layers and just get all of my ideas out, and then later we'll polish it. So I'll just mute this for now, and I definitely want some keys for the chords. Let me get another very cheesy old R&B kind of element. I'm thinking some bells probably. So we have like dun 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 for the chords. So let's maybe do like dun 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 dun. The same but backwards. And then with that chord run at the end, I obviously want all the instruments to kind of go along with it. And I feel like we can't go without a wah guitar, right? Okay, I think I want one layer like... Let me just show you instead of trying to explain it. And then just some little fills and stuff as always. One last layer before we clean everything up. I think what also could be cool is something like just some little rhythm stuff. Alright, now it's time for effects. Maybe we can pan the harp a bit to the left and the bells a bit to the right, because they have like this call and response kind of thing. Now let's see what we can use from the acoustic guitar. But again, we only want it for the texture. So what really works well here is, especially for the guitars, all the layers are kind of bouncing off each other instead of like playing all over each other. For example, we have this lead kind of guitar, mostly in the breaks of the rhythm guitar. And it's also never clashing with like the little step. And that way you can just add lots of elements without having it clashing all the time. Let's go for a little bass line. And I'm thinking I want like kind of a mix of a very clean bass and like this bouncy kind of wop wop kind of bass. Maybe something like this. So I want to use the lower velocities mostly. With a high velocity, we have this like more digital kind of sound. But if the velocity is lower, it's sounding a bit cleaner. So something like this probably. For these transition notes, maybe we can go for a higher velocity. And then in the mixer, we'll just use a limiter to make sure the higher velocities aren't actually louder. We just get a different kind of bass sound. Let's get some drums going. Also, some of you have been asking about which drum kits I use. I pretty much have two go-to drum kits, and both of them are free Reddit drum kits, but they're like the best drum kits ever. First one is this one by Ives Robbie, and I'd say this is perfect for slightly more modern sounds, maybe like Brent Faiyaz, 4-bats, like the more modern R&B that's inspired by the older R&B. And then I have this one with these sensual ass fonts, and this one is perfect to make it sound even a bit older and have a bit more interesting sounds, I guess. And I'm not sure who made this, but in the loop section I see this rare bag tag a lot, so I'm guessing it's from him. And yeah, I use these two kits almost all the time when making beats like this. Oh. Sometimes when I accidentally place drums wrong, it kind of sounds cool. You always gotta go with your happy accidents. Like for example here, I accidentally placed it right here, which gives a really cool bounce, I think. But I don't want it all the time. I can just use it here as a little variation. For these beats, you always want some shakers. And these high kind of perks like these. I feel like I might actually want like a two-step hi-hat, just to give a bit of steadiness in the background. For beats like these, I always have the urge to add like the record scratch in the end, but I feel like I'm doing that too much. So let's try and find something that kind of does the same thing, but isn't actually the record scratch. I like to use percussion loops a lot as well and kind of chop them up because they'll always have a bit more texture and sound a bit more interesting than just regular drum sounds because they've been processed already. If you want my percussion loops and also like melody accents, textures, all kind of stuff, you can check out my Lucid Weekly subscription, link is in the description. Yeah, I like that a lot. I want a little bass fill right here. Whoa. Let it wiggle a bit. Whoa. Maybe also take out like the instruments a bit. Sometimes you also gotta take out the bass. And for this break, I kind of want to emphasize breaks between the kicks, I think. Maybe also turn these kicks up again. Maybe also grab the rhythm guitar to emphasize that bounce a bit. Maybe we can even go crazy and pitch this up. I want to finish this off with a good old Sine Lead. Also, I want to say you've probably seen me using lots of wah guitars, e-pianos, Sine Leads in my latest videos. And obviously I use them even more than you actually see because I'm also making music outside of the videos. And sometimes I'm feeling like, oh, I can't use that again because I've used it so many times before, but I feel like you gotta get away from this kind of mindset because literally no one cares if you're using the same sounds in different beats. First of all, no one listens to all of your beats, so it's only you that kind of realizes that you're using the same stuff over and over again. And some shit just works, you know? Some genres and styles just always use the same sounds because they work so well. And yet it's just something I wanted to tell you because I feel like that's something I tend to overthink a lot, but bro, just use the same sounds over and over again, no one cares. Ooh, definitely need that. I almost forgot about it, that's hard as fuck. Alright, I think that's gonna be it for this beat. I don't really care about the mix or arrangement right now. Again, this is gonna be just another beat idea in my album folder. And what's also really cool about this one, I'm just realizing that, is I could use this as this beat. And I feel like just a sample feels kind of old school enough to maybe also sample it into a different kind of beat, maybe add some vocals, speed it up and turn it into a different kind of beat. But yeah, I'll leave it like that for now. Let me know if you like this video, if you want to see more of me like just trying to make stuff for the album. And yeah, check out my Lucid Weekly subscription and thanks for watching.